Hey everyone, I am back to read another Choose Your Own Adventure. This one is called Struggle Down Under. It's written by Shannon Gilligan, and it's Choose Your Own Adventure number 21 in the new series, which they started up the Choose Your Own Adventure series in the early 2000s, I think, or it was definitely after 2000. The original Choose Your Own Adventure number 21 I read a while back. That was Choose Your Own Adventure number 21 in the original series, Hyperspace. So this is the new one. Hi, Rachel. You can always tell it's a new series because it's got like the collectible cards, which the old series did not have that. Yeah, here's the cover art. It's a kind of a big truck going over someone's skull. So that's cool. Oh, there's a snake down there. Okay, I just noticed that. All right. What does that license plate say? Is that JCK69? Interesting. Okay. Are you ready to rock? I am. Hope you are. All right, and I'll read the back cover. You are... Oh, wait, that's not the back cover. Hold on. Yes, here we are. You are invited on an expedition to Australia to uncover an ancient civilization. Could this adventure be your last? Holding an amulet as his proof of the ancient civilization of Satyrion, your Uncle Gilroy offers you the opportunity of a lifetime. But the path to success quickly gets trampled as traders and crime syndicates search for their own prize, uranium. Without stopping at the front desk, Anna leads you up the central staircase to her room on the second floor. A familiar figure sits on the bed talking on the phone, his back to you. "Gilroy!" you exclaim. The figure turns, but it's not your Uncle Gilroy. It's someone who looks just like him. Behind you, you hear the click of the door being shut. You break into a cold sweat. "What's going on?" The man hangs up the phone and comes towards you. If you decide to make a run for it, turn to page 80. If you decide to wait for an explanation, turn to page 57. With your life at risk, your uncle missing, and no one to trust, you realize it's up to you to make the right choice in order to survive. Okay. Gotta make the right choice. Yeah, I was hoping it would be Dr. Vivaldi. Oh, here's kids still love Choose Your Own Adventure books all these years later. Right. Here's the new Choose Your Own Adventure series list of books. It's illustrated by S. Burfon, S. Shawira, and J. Don Ploipich, and cover illustrated by Sitasan Sundarovich. All right, this was originally written by R.A. Montgomery in 1988. Oh, and it was originally published as Terror in Australia. Okay. And then it was the artwork, design, and revised text is 2005. So, yeah, just like the last one where it was the text was revised and they added stuff about cell phones, but they still had something about a Indian chief and a tomahawk. So that part was not revised. Hopefully, this doesn't have the same type of stuff, but who knows? If it was written back in 1988 originally, so. We'll see. And this is for the Chinster, whoever the Chinster is. I'm hoping revised text means removed racism. Yeah, me too. Because so like I was saying last week, revised text they added a reference to using cell phones now, but yeah, they still had like chief and tomahawk and stuff. All right, beware and warning. This book is different from other books. You and you alone are in charge of what happens in this story. There are dangers, choices, adventures, and consequences. You must use all of your numerous talents and much of your enormous intelligence. The wrong decision could end in disaster, even death. But don't despair. At any time, you can go back and make another choice, alter the path of your story, and change its result. Your favorite uncle, Gilroy, discovers a rare amulet in the Australian desert. He asks you along to help with his archaeological dig. But your search for the lost ancient city of Saterion goes wildly wrong from the moment you get to Alice Springs. Whatever Gilroy is onto, it's much bigger than a pile of old trinkets in the middle of the desert. Much, much bigger. I hate consequences. Yeah, me too. Our enormous intelligence. Okay. You open your eyes and stretch lazily, expecting to hear the muffled sounds below of your parents making your favorite brekkie of eggs and sausage. Then you remember. Your mom and dad left Australia yesterday for a 3-week vacation in the United States. For the first time in your life, you're on your own. Just think, Ned, you say to your cat while you get ready to brush your teeth. 3 whole weeks to live it up. A minute later, you've put the kettle on for tea and are about to pour yourself a glass of orange juice. Orange, when you hear a knock at the front door. Ned stops licking his paws long enough to follow you as you answer it. Good day, Waldo, you say cheerily. Waldo, your neighbor and friend, delivers the newspaper every morning. What's up? Aren't you related to Gilroy Adams, the archaeologist? He asks. He's my mother's youngest brother, you reply. Why? Here, Waldo says, handing you the paper. He's made the front page of today's Melbourne Age, and probably a lot of other papers. Thought you'd be interested. Thanks, you say, curiously, as Waldo heads off to finish his paper route. Brekkie, I guess that's what they call breakfast in Australia, baby. Time for a little eggy egg for brekkie. Yeah, maybe that's what they're alluding to that Yoda meme. That must be what it is. You unroll the newspaper. The picture on the first page is Gilroy, all right. You read the article. Gilroy Adams, 27-year-old renegade archaeologist, holds an amulet that he claims is proof of Saterion, a highly developed ancient civilization, the capital of which he believes to have been located in the middle of the Gibson Desert. Adams reports that the amulet was discovered by an Aboriginal friend on walkabout in the region. Initial analysis of the piece indicates that it is made of a substance heretofore unknown to man. Mr. Adams is the youngest archaeologist ever to graduate. Before you finish the article, the phone rings. You hardly even started the article. Gilroy, you exclaim, when you hear your uncle's voice on the line. I was just reading about the amulet in the paper. You made the front page of Melbourne Age. Good on you, mate. Sounds like excitement. Thanks, Cobber, your uncle replies. Excitement is the word, all right. Maybe too much excitement. I may need your help. Good on you, mate. And there's your uncle, I guess. The hat. Look at that hat. Yeah, this was originally written in 1988, like probably around the time of Crocodile Dundee, I'll bet. Help, you reply. What's wrong? You and Gilroy have always been close. He has always been more like a cousin or a friend than an uncle. You know that Gilroy trusts you completely, and you trust him. Nothing's wrong, yet, Gilroy replies. Just suspicions. Better not to talk on the phone. We need to meet in person. Can you come to Alice Springs? My expedition leaves from here in 2 days. Your heart jumps in your uncle's words. You've wanted to go on an expedition with Gilroy for as long as you can remember, but your parents have never allowed it. As your father is fond of saying, Gilroy's got kangaroos in the top of his paddock. Whatever that means. But this time your parents aren't here. You smile at Ned the cat. Will I be back in 3 weeks, you ask, crossing your fingers? Sure, we can arrange that, Gilroy replies. I'm on, you cry. Gilroy gives you the address of his hotel. I'll be there as soon as I can, you promise before hanging up. Turn to the next page. Who will take care of Ned? I don't know. Maybe we'll take Ned with us. Your brother had that hat in junior high and wore it to school every day? Embarrassed, probably. Later that morning, you busily packed for your trip. Your friend Waldo and Ned, who was not too happy you're leaving, look on. What happens if your parents find out where you're going? Waldo asks nervously. If you take good care of Ned and the house, keep quiet about my trip, they'll never find out, you answer. What do I tell them if you're not home in 3 weeks? It won't matter, you reply with a smile, because if I'm not home in 3 weeks, my parents will kill me. Waldo rolls his eyes. How are you traveling to Alice Springs? He wants to know. I haven't made up my mind. The train is cheaper, but if I go that way, I won't get there till tomorrow morning. If I take a plane, I won't have any money left over, but I'll be in Alice by dinner. Beep beep. The taxi you called is announcing its arrival. Better decide soon, Waldo points out. Right, I will, you reply. Can you help me bring my things to the taxi? If you decide to go to Alice Springs by train, turn to page 7. If you decide to go by plane, turn to page 9. Crocodile Dundee and reruns of Crocodile Hunter. Yeah, they know about brekkies and people going on walkabouts. That's about it. Beep beep. Train. Take the quiet car on the train. Train. Oh, train. Okay. We'll take the train. Oof, this pack is heavy, groans Waldo as he grabs your backpack and follows you down the front walk. Where it'll be, mate? Asks the driver, opening the trunk of her cab. The train station, please, you reply. Turning to your friend, you add, You never know when extra cash will come in handy. Be careful, Waldo says, giving you a shy hug. Watch out for wild camels. And please don't be late coming home. Oh, I won't, you say breezily. I hope, you add to yourself. A half hour later, you're comfortably settled in a second-class sleeping car. The Melbourne Star lurches slowly from the train station. You look at your watch. Right on schedule, you think. Your search for the lost city of Satyrion has begun. Is that the taxi driver?
Yeah.
I assume, yeah. Turn to page 8. Murders and mayhem always happen on trains. Oh, yes. You pull out your archaeology book and try to read, but you're just too excited. You decide to go to the dining car and have a bite to eat instead. You close your compartment door and move carefully up the narrow corridors, swaying gently with the train. Whomp! A short, pasty-looking man veers around a corner and plows right into you. Excuse me, sir, you say politely, trying to help the man back to his feet. He furiously clutches a worn black briefcase to his chest and squirms from your touch. Rack off, you wacka! I can get up myself, he barks in a heavy accent that you can't identify. It is doubly strange because he uses Australian slang. He shoves you out of the way and hurries off. What's he all wobbly about, you wonder? He was as cross as a frog in a sock. He acted as if I tried to steal his stupid briefcase. Turn to page 10. Well, you reach the dining car and order a double coffee milkshake. As you drink, you forget the strange man. You're lost in daydreams of a lost civilization, in the artifacts you'll find with Gilroy, and the mysteries that lie ahead, waiting to be unraveled. Dining car is closing, a voice says. What? You ask, coming back to reality. I said, the dining car is closing. It's 11 o'clock, a waiter tells you. Oh, yes, sorry, you say, rubbing your eyes. Outside, a dark, starry sky speeds past. You must have fallen asleep. You stand up, leave a tip on your table, and head back to your seat. Passing through the first-class cars, you spot the odd little man that you bumped into. He's alone in his compartment and appears to be sound asleep. His precious briefcase has fallen out of his grasp and opened. Papers are fanned out all over the floor near his feet. You feel a sudden urge to look at the papers. Just what's so important about them? You glance stealthily up and down the corridor. No one is in sight, and if someone does come along, you can easily pretend that you're picking up the papers. But what if the man wakes up and recognizes you? What if he's not asleep at all? If you decide to look at the man's papers under the pretext of picking them up for him, turn to page 12. If you decide to leave his papers where they are, turn to page 34. Yeah, at first I looked at that picture and I thought the guy was dead. I mean, the face looks like, I don't know. Do not bother the strange man. So Rachel says, do not bother him. Valerie says, look at the papers. Valerie, no. Oh, I don't know. It's split 50-50. I think we'll look at the papers. We'll just pretend we're helping him pick them up. That's all. We're helping. I'm going to go through your papers when you die. Yep. You check the hallway one last time. Then, slowly, silently, you bend down, trying not to wake the sleeping figure. You pick up the papers farthest from his feet and begin scanning them. They appear to be some sort of technical readouts, almost like a seismogram. In the upper left corner of each paper is stamped, Classified and Restricted, U.S. Department of Defense. The U.S. Department of Defense? But this guy isn't American. What's he doing with classified information from the U.S. Defense Department? At that moment, the man groans in his sleep and shifts position. The heel of his shoe slams down onto your hand. It's all you can do not to yelp in pain. Moving very carefully, you lift his heel and pull your hand back. For the second time that night, you get the surprise of your life. Or, as your dad would say, you're gobsmacked. On the paper that was underneath the man's heel is your uncle's name. You begin reading furiously, but you're so nervous that you can hardly make out the words. Something about uranium, a mention of Satyrion, and a mention of Infiltrator 4, whatever that is. It's impossible to tell what part Gilroy plays in all this. Could the papers have anything to do with the trouble he's in? You wonder if you'd be able to understand these documents better with more time to study them. The odd little man with the bad temper is still asleep. You dart a glance at him to check. And it would be easy to leave the compartment with his precious papers. But what would happen if he discovers that they're missing? If you decide to grab the papers, turn to page 14. If you decide to leave the papers for now and follow the man when you get off in Alice Springs, turn to page 31. Yeah, this guy's terrible at, keeping track of classified information. Oh, should we grab his papers? Steal his papers? Yep. Oh, Valerie's going to say steal. Yeah, you called it, Rachel. All right, I guess we'll try to grab the papers. You scoop up as many papers as you can without touching the man's foot. Heart pounding, you dash through 3 cars to your compartment, where you lock the door behind you. Turning on a small flashlight, you start to read. It all makes more sense this time. The classified report describes the location of a rich bed of uranium ore in the Gibson Desert. Then, it explains that there is a connection between this recent discovery and the earlier claims of a young archaeologist, Gilroy T. Adams, who believes that the lost city of Satyrion once existed in the same area. You're not sure what all this means, but the significance of a handwritten note in the margin is very clear. Adams may be a help. If not, he must be neutralized. Oh no, not neutralized. Go on to the next page. Neutralized? Isn't that another word for killed, you wonder? Does someone want your Uncle Gilroy dead? And is that person on this train? Leaving everything behind except your wallet and the stolen papers, You hurry in the opposite direction from the car with the sleeping man. You don't know what you're going to do until you come to a freight car. That's it! You'll hide in there. You wedge yourself between a shipment of carpets and one of lawnmowers. It's pretty uncomfortable, and you only sleep fitfully for the rest of the night. At least no one bothers you. When the train stops in Alice Springs, the passengers get off on one side. You wait till they've left, then get off on the other side and sneak across the train yard. You're exhausted. You wish you could take a cab, but you decide it would be too risky. After a hot, dusty, and frightened walk through Alice Springs, you finally reach the lobby of the Barker House Hotel. Excuse me, you say to the receptionist. Can you please give me the room number of Gilroy Adams? She eyes your dusty face and clothes with a certain suspicion, but she checks her computer. He's out. Would you like to leave a message for him? No, I'll wait, you say. Turn to page 16. You wait nervously for 1 hour, then 2. There's no sign of your uncle. Where can he be? To pass the time, you pull out the news clipping from yesterday's paper and reread the article. Adams reports that the amulet was discovered by an Aboriginal friend. Mention of Gilroy's Aboriginal friend gives you an idea. Excuse me, you say again to the receptionist. Isn't there an Aboriginal settlement in Alice? You have no idea when Gilroy will show up. You might as well see if you can learn a little about the Aborigines here. Yes, the woman replies. She gives you directions and shows you a map advertising the tourist attraction of Alice Springs. You leave a message for your uncle in case he shows up, and then take off. A half hour later, you are showing his picture to a group of Aborigines. Man, I was kind of hoping it would give us the choice of whether to go meet the Aborigines or not, so we could decide not to, but didn't even give us a choice to do that. This doesn't look great. No. Oh, man. Yeah, this drawing. And this is not the original drawing either. This is like the redesigned drawings. I don't even want to know what the original drawings looked like. This was updated with more racism. Oh, man. Do any of these Aborigines have names, or are they just like the Aborigines? Turn to page 18. Sure, we know your uncle. He's a good guy. He's been a Nui's friend, an eager young man tells you. Been a Nui's friend. Have you seen him recently, you ask? Yes, replies a much older man. This morning, just before he and Benanui left. Left? Left where, you cry. Turn to the next page. The old man points west, in the direction of the desert. They went to track down more amulets, he announces. But that's impossible. You just know Gilroy wouldn't leave without you. Maybe he's in some kind of trouble. Was there anything suspicious about the way they left, you inquire? No, they were in a hurry. But that uncle of yours is always in a hurry. The man chuckles fondly. Then, turning serious, he adds, If you're worried, we can go after them. I know where they were headed. We can leave right now. You consider the man's offer. You feel that you've got to warn your uncle as soon as possible. But who can tell how long a trip into the bush will take? How safe would it be? Does this man know what he's talking about? Maybe you should try getting help from the police. If you decide to accept the old man's offer to take you to your uncle, turn to page 21. If you decide that it's time to involve the police, turn to page 25. This is like a lose-lose situation. Either we stick with the Aborigines or we go to the police. It's like, oh man. Okay. We're not narcs, that's true. Yeah, why does he think his uncle wouldn't ditch him at the first opportunity? Like, it's never time to call the police. I mean, well, these are the Australian police at least, so maybe they're a bit better. Yeah, no, we're sticking with the Aborigines. You and the old man are quick to begin your journey into the desert. Along the way, the man tells you that his name is Mandarg. I am the tribal elder of the Alice Springs settlement, he says. Other than that, he doesn't talk much, conserving his energy for the hot trek. The two of you make good progress. At dusk, you break for the day. Mandar goes in search of some food, while you start a fire. Later that evening, after a dinner of roasted lizard and several billies of tea, the two of you lie on your backs and looking up at the stars. In a few minutes, a small transport plane drones by. Well, that's not so bad. We're having a good time. Your choices are police or racism. Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. Turn to page 22. I could have just said turn to the next page, because that is the next page, but okay. There they go now, says Mandarg dreamily, pointing above. There go who, you ask? Beninaway and Gilroy. They're in that plane, Mandarg replies. In that plane? But I thought you said they left on foot. How can they be in that plane? And besides, how can you tell? You cry. They did leave our settlement on foot. I don't know how they ended up in the plane, but they're there. My spirit eyes can see them. Mandarg seems as surprised about Gilroy as you do. Well, what else do you see? Are they okay, you ask? They're all right for now, but my spirit will keep guard, Mandarg assures you. Meanwhile, he's probably got like his cell phone with him, and he's got like a text message from them telling them that they're on the plane. So he's, oh, it's my spirit, yeah. Turn to page 23. You can actually walk. You can walk first and then board the plane. His spirit eyes. Oh, man. You've heard that some Aborigines have extraordinary psychic powers. Mandarg may be right, but what's Gilroy up to? Why didn't he wait for you at the hotel? You lie in the dark, thinking about all this for a few minutes, but you fall sound asleep without coming to any conclusions. At dawn, an urgent hand on your shoulder shakes you awake. We've got to go, Mandarg says. Bad things have happened to our friends. They have been betrayed by some people they trusted. It is some sort of crime gang. The only people who can help them now are the police. His face is twisted with sorrow and worry. You have no doubt that he's right. However it is that he knows these things. Turn to the next page. The only person that can help them now is the police. If Mandarg's ESP tells you to go, turn to page. Yeah, Spirit Eye sounds like a Phil Collins song. No Spirit Eyes required on that one. Turn to the next page. You head back to Alice Springs immediately. The cool morning air helps you move quickly, and you reach the town not much after 8. Even though it's early, police headquarters is in an uproar. What do you want? The receiving officer asks you impatiently, ignoring Mandarg entirely. And this better be good. We're awfully busy today. This is very important, Mandarg says imperiously, looking down his nose at the seated policeman. We are looking for a missing man. He and a trucker from my tribe have been kidnapped by a gang. Bad people, Mandarg adds. This is news to you, but it has an amazing effect on the police officers. Within seconds, the entire room is silent. Everyone is staring at Mandarg. Turn to page 29. You're going to choose the police whether you want to or not. The gang? What do you know about them? Can you lead us to their hideout? The commanding officer steps forward to ask your friend. No, but I can lead you to Gilroy and Beninaway, and they know where he is, Mandarg says. Let's go, the man in charge says brusquely. He introduces himself hastily as you run to some helicopters behind the police station. He is Colonel Frank Symington, head of Australian Special Forces, Northwest Territory. Glad to meet you, Frank, Mandarg replies, giving you a mischievous smile. You and Mandarg are hurried into separate helicopters, so you missed most of what Mandarg tells Colonel Symington. But an hour into the desert, you spot a speck on the horizon and see Mandark pointing. As you approach, you make out the shapes of a small camp and two people. Could the taller one be your Uncle Gilroy? As the helicopter descends, turning up a cloud of desert dust, you see it is Gilroy. Turn to page 30. Oh. Gilroy, you yell. You leap from the helicopter without looking and land on your face in the sand. You pick yourself up, a bit embarrassed by your clumsy entrance, and race towards your uncle. He gives you the Australian salute, which is brushing flies away, but when you see his eyes, you realize something is terribly wrong. What happened to you? You say excitedly. Your uncle stares at you vacantly. His expression is so blank that for a minute you wonder if you made a mistake. Gilroy, he repeats. Who's Gilroy? Meninowi is in the same state. He doesn't even recognize Mandarg. They've been drugged, exclaims the medic who came along in your helicopter. He's standing next to a water drum, a suspicious look on his face. My guess is the Thorazine derivative they use. Put it in the water. What's Thorazine, you ask Colonel Symington. The gang is using a very powerful derivative of a drug which kills memory. All memory. It can last for several days. It's one of this gang's signatures. I'm afraid there's no chance of being led to that hideout now, he says, kicking the sand. By the time your uncle and his friend recover their memories, those blokes will be long gone. Oh no. Oh, no. Uncle G got into the peyote again. I don't even know who I am anymore. And yet dozens of adults not asking questions like, where are these kids' parents? Wow, that's kind of a bummer. Well, do you want to try... We could try taking the plane instead of the train. Or we could also try leaving the papers and following that man instead when you get off at Alice Springs. I guess it'll be okay. Yeah, it'll wear off eventually. Follow the guy, yeah. Or we'll follow the guy. Maybe he'll lead me to some stuff going on here. Page 31, follow him. Very carefully you shuffle the papers together and replace them in the briefcase. It shuts with a small click, and you stand to leave. Where do you think you're going? Snaps a nasty voice. You whirl around. The man has woken up. I've had it with you, he yells, grabbing a fountain pen from his pocket and pressing a small button. It flashes through your mind that the pen is actually a gun, but just then a tall, thick-necked man appears in the doorway. So the pen must be a paging mechanism. Yes, boss, says the man. Get rid of this kid. Quietly. Wait a... You begin to shout, but the goon clamps a rough hand over your mouth and drags you out of the compartment. His muscles are like steel. Kicking and struggling, you try to wriggle free as he carries you to the end of the car, but it's useless. Have a nice day, he says, as he opens the door of the speeding train and throws you out into the starry Australian night. The end.
What?
Well, I guess, I guess we shouldn't have decided to follow him later. Okay. Wow. Well, maybe we should have just left his papers where they were. That choice paid off really quickly, yes. Like, immediately. That was pretty fast. I don't think we survived that one. We're probably... pretty sure we died being pushed off a speeding train. Could try taking the plane. Yeah, it's not our fault he leaves his papers all over the place. We didn't do that. So take the plane. Take the plane instead of the train. Maybe we'll have better luck taking a plane. You give Ned a goodbye pet. Then you and Waldo carry your bags to the waiting cab. You've got your Tucker bag for some food, just in case. Tucker. That's Australian for food. One look at the cloudless January sky, and you're glad you decided to fly. Anyway, you say to Waldo, the sooner I'm in Alice, the better. Have a rip snorter out there, but most of all, be careful, Waldo tells you for the 10th time. I will, you promise. Thanks heaps, Waldo. I couldn't do this without you. Turn to page 32. Yes, the sooner we're in Alice, the better. Quite true. When you reach the Melbourne airport, you find out that the next flight to Alice Springs leaves in 4 hours. And it's booked solid, the ticket clerk tells you. If you'd like to take it, you'll have to fly standby. Standby, you cry. But I have to get to Alice tonight. Why don't you see if there's a space on the mail plane, she suggests. Go to the last desk before baggage pickup. You hurry over to where she pointed. Sure enough, a mail flight destined for Alice Springs is about to take off. It makes lots of stops, the man informs you. You won't arrive much before the regularly scheduled flight, and you won't be all that comfortable, but at least you'll make it tonight. Shall I enter your name on the passenger list? If you decide to take the mail plane, turn to page 107. If you decide to take your chances and fly standby, turn to page 56. And you see it, you know it's updated because she has a flat screen monitor. So, take the mail plane? Okay. Taking the mail plane. Oh, and here are the collector cards you get. You choose your own adventure books now. Charmed Flute and Matron of Serpents. Nice. Not sure what you possibly use them for. Interesting. I guess you go to the website and do something with them. Oh yeah, so we're doing the mail plane. Page 107. The mail plane is a small 6-seat Cessna Stationair. It makes 5 stops between Melbourne and Alice Springs as the pilot and co-pilot drop off and pick up mail, supplies, and an occasional passenger. Today we're also stopping at a cattle station to deliver some emergency allergy medicine, the pilot tells you cheerfully. You smile at him, but you're wondering if you have any chance of making it to Alice Springs by tonight. It turns out you have nothing to worry about. As soon as you're airborne, you decide to use the flying time to get some extra sleep. When you wake up, there's only one more stop to make. It's at a tiny airport, nothing more than a landing strip and a zinc-roofed shack. The pilot and co-pilot, Ed and Jerry, get out to have some pie and coffee. They politely invite you to join them, but you decline. You take out your cell phone, but it reads, "No service out here in the bush," and shows a picture of your cat Ned, which, as your dad says, is about as useful as high heels in the outback. You go into the shack where they do have a phone, and you get through to the hotel in Alice Springs. You leave a message for Gilroy, saying that you should be there within the hour. Ready to go? Jerry asks, just as you're finishing the call. You bet, you reply, hanging up the receiver. Too bad we didn't have the choice to hang out with Ed and Jerry and drink some coffee with them. That would have been a nice choice. Yeah, I want to hear more about Ned. Me too. How come we haven't learned anything about Ned? Yeah, it's rude that we didn't hang out with them and have pie and coffee. Page 109. You haven't been in the air long when Ed says, "Where the heck did that come from?" Something in his voice makes you look up from the book you've started reading. Straight ahead is a large, mean-looking storm cell. The weather report said all clear when we took off, Jerry tells Ed. Call Alice. See what they say, Ed directs. A few seconds later, Jerry replies, They said there's nothing on their weather maps. What is it then? Ed asks. The small craft begins to bounce uneasily. A little nervously, you check your seatbelt to make sure it's fastened. You wish you weren't the only passenger now. Suddenly, the air grows very dark. Raindrops begin to drum the metal skin of the aircraft, lightly at first, then in force. Lightning crackles outside the window. You look at the faces of the two pilots. Is it your imagination that they turned green? And why they both, look bald? What's going on with that? Some weird looking people in this book. Alright, page 110. Just before you're about to ask if things will be okay, Jerry gets up and staggers past you to the back. I'm going to Chunda, mate. And with that, he throws up in a paper bag. This isn't looking good, you think to yourself as your tummy feels queasy. Ed, I think it's something I ate. Food poisoning, maybe. I've never been airsick, Jerry says hoarsely, before getting sick again. We both ate it, whatever it was, Ed replies. His skin is as pale as a sheet, and beads of sweat cover his brow. He turns to you. I'm afraid we're in trouble. Do you know anything about planes? My friend Waldo has a flight simulation program on his computer. For a Cessna, too, you reply without mentioning that your friend Waldo only lets you watch him play on it. At that moment, you hit an air pocket, and the plane drops 50 feet. You feel like your stomach's on the ceiling. As the plane dizzlingly swoops back up, you cry out, Tell me what to do! Go on to the next page. Come up here next to me. See on 180 degrees. That dial there, Ed replies, indicating the controls. They are like the computer program, so that gives you some confidence. A tiny little bit. Try to maintain altitude and make contact with Alice air traffic. They'll have to bring you in. Ed says this last in a hoarse whisper. He looks as if he's beginning to lose consciousness. Alice Airport, please come in. Alice Airport, this is a Mayday, you yell in the headset you've grabbed from Jerry. Boom! Turn to page 112. You've been hit by lightning. The blast blows out the entire instrument panel. The dashboard before you is a worthless, smoking mess. Just kind of like this book. So much for counting on the computer to do it. This will be hands-on flying. Meanwhile, the storm rages, and the little plane is tossed around like a leaf in the wind. Yeah, now we're flying this plane. But the pilot turns to you and says, Hey, do you know anything about flying planes? No, I definitely don't. I never was on a flight simulator or no. Alright, so much for counting on the computer to do it. This will be hands-on flying. Meanwhile, the storm rages, and the little plane is tossed around like a leaf in the wind. Suddenly, the plane goes into a steep, screaming dive. You look over to see the unconscious pilot slumped over his yoke, forcing it forward. You grab him by the shoulders and push him back onto his seat. You pull your yoke hard back with all your strength, pulling the small craft out of its dive. You're fighting off panic. Just try to maintain altitude for now, you repeat over and over to yourself. You'll have to do it by feel. Every time the plane seems to ascend or descend, you try to make an adjustment. But this tactic won't last forever. The fuel tanks were low when you took off. You'll have to land sometime. Sure enough, the engines begin to sputter several minutes later. You have no choice. You must land. Frantically, you search for an opening in the clouds. There's one. A patch, lighter gray than the rest, emerges ahead. You go for it. Pushing the yoke forward, you put the plane in a shallow glide path to Earth and watch the air speed to prevent stall. Suddenly, you're below the clouds, dropping. The last thing you remember is the Earth rushing up to meet you. You pass out before you hit the ground. It's a Unix system, I know this. Oh, right. Was that Jurassic Park? Oh, man. Hours later, you wake up. Although you're aching all over, you seem to be unhurt. Groaning, you sit up and look around. You've crashed somewhere in the desert. The rain and thunder have stopped, but the wind is still blowing fiercely. Your eyes travel slowly over the interior of the plane. Jerry was thrown against the rear bulkhead. You can tell that his neck has been broken. He's dead. At first you don't see Ed. Then you realize that he is lying crumpled under some equipment that fell out of the overhead storage compartment. As you watch, he rolls over. "My leg," he moans. You give it a quick look. It's obviously been smashed. Can't tell how badly. And Ed seems to be in shock. You search the cabin for some water and find a couple of gallon jugs under a seat next to Jerry's body. A search turns up some stale bickies and some chalky wrappers. What, did you steal those from his body or something? Let me see what this guy's got. He's not going to need them. Oh my god. Yeah, we killed them. Yeah, it's Jurassic Park. I wonder if that was in the book, or if that was only in the movie. My leg! Yes. Here, drink this, you say, lifting Ed's head. He slurps the water weakly. Not too much. We don't know how long a rescue might take, he says, sinking back and closing his eyes. Turn to page 115. A rescue? You think we'll be rescued? They didn't even know where we went down. I never got to Radio Alice. A rescue could take weeks, you say. Well, Ed replies, the first rule in a situation like this is to stay with your plane. Then he passes out. You look around at the wrecked plane. Despite what Ed just told you, you want desperately to find help. If you were alone, you'd do it in a second. Your only worry is leaving Ed, since he's sick and injured. On the other hand, if he doesn't get medical attention quickly, he might not make it. If you decide to risk leaving the plane and go in search of help, turn to page 117. If you decide to stay with the plane and hope for a rescue, turn to page 119. Yeah, we're clearly not a doctor, and we're also not a pilot. Alright, so do you want to leave the plane and search for help? Are we in the middle of the desert or something? Where? Oh yeah. Yeah, we've crashed somewhere in the desert. But are we in the middle of the desert or right on the edge of the desert? Yeah, staying with the plane is the best in real life, but in this book I doubt we'd be rewarded for staying. Yeah, it's gotta leave. Alright, page 117. Your instincts tell you that going for help is the only thing to do. 15 minutes later, you're ready. Strapped to your back is your pack. It contains 1 of the gallons of water, from some freeze-dried food you had packed for the expedition, and your sleeping bag. In your hand is an old compass. The last thing you do is leave a note pinned to Ed, stating your intended direction, the date, and the time. Taking your bearings, you face northeast and begin walking. You walk all day, pausing twice to drink a little water. The sandstorm never lets up, and before long your exposed skin is raw. Even so, you're not discouraged. A powerful sense of direction guides your steps. You don't know what it is, but you feel a sense of elation. That's probably not good. It's probably just getting lightheaded and dehydrated. At dusk you take shelter against a large rock. You feel faint and dizzy. I'll be much better after a few hours of sleep, you think, climbing into your bag. Around you the sandstorm rages on. By the time you wake up, the sun is high overhead. You must have been more tired than you thought. The storm has stopped, and the quiet is almost eerie. You stand up to stretch. It is then that you first notice it. A few feet away, the sand has exposed a vein of metal that gleams in the light. You step closer and kick some more sand aside. The vein gets bigger. Then it hits you. It's gold. And there we are. We found some gold. With gold in them there hills. We just found gold. All right, turn to page 118. You spend the rest of the day on your hands and knees digging frantically. Ideas of magnificent wealth spur you on. By nightfall, the vein of gold stretches for 90 feet. Who knows how far it goes? Who cares? By now you are the richest person in Australia, maybe in the world. There's just one small problem. While you were busy digging, the remainder of your water evaporated in the heat. Over the next 48 hours, you die the slow, painful death of dehydration. By the time you are gone, the wind has blown the sand so that no one will know that you or the gold are out there. No wonder the Australians call the outback the Never Never. We are an idiot. Yeah, we just go, yeah, and then we died. I guess we should stay in the plane. Yeah, let's stay in the plane. Wow. We're an idiot. Like, oh, gold! Wow! I'm out in the middle of the desert with, like, my water evaporating, but I'm going to dig for some gold, and I'm so rich. Richest dead dude in Australia. Alright, stay with the plane then. By nightfall, you're glad of your decision. A sandstorm with gale-force winds whips up, and you have to use the plane for shelter. You huddle inside, trying to make Ed as comfortable as possible. He's a lot worse off than you first thought, and he begins fading in and out of consciousness. You begin to fear some kind of internal bleeding. Once, he wakes up slightly. "Tell my parents I love them," he whispers. "Come on, Ed," you say. "Don't be morbid. You can tell them yourself as soon as you're well." But as his head drops back into your lap, you're not so sure. Sometime during the night, you finally doze off. Early the next morning, you are awakened by the sound of a plane buzzing low overhead. A rescue! Turn to page 121. "Ed, we're saved!" you cry, nudging the pilot. But it's too late. His body has grown stiff with death. You scramble out of the wreckage and wave frantically as the plane circles back. Tears are streaming down your face. You are taken by the Australian Air Force rescue team to a military hospital, where you are treated for shock and exhaustion. Gilroy visits you there. "I'm sorry," he says, "but I'm going to have to leave without you. I just can't wait any longer to start my expedition. I hope you understand." You do. Oh, and there we are on top of the plane, saying, "Hey, please rescue me. Don't be morbid." Gilroy is a dick. Some days later, the doctors sadly inform you that your uncle's expedition has been discovered abandoned in the middle of the Gibson Desert. There was no sign of life anywhere. You're heartbroken, but you're in no condition to go out to the desert to search. All that's left for you is to return home, fortunate yourself to be alive. Maybe it was a lucky accident after all. You will miss Gilroy terribly. The end. Yikes. Like, instead of dying, we just lost our uncle. Here lies the body of dear old Ed. A giant plane fell on his head. Yeah, we didn't die, but everybody else did. So yeah, I'd say that's good enough. Yeah. Just everybody else died. Everyone we come into contact with dies. It's like we're cursed or something. Yeah, I feel like the only thing we didn't do is that we didn't go to the police, and don't feel like doing that. Like, everything was terrible. Maybe it was taking the mail plane. Maybe that's what our problem was. How about not taking the mail plane? Yeah, we could do that. We'll fly standby, not take the mail plane. How about we don't take the mail plane? Luck is with you. One of the passengers on the flight has to cancel, giving you a place just before the plane takes off. You're seated next to a friendly young man. Soon the two of you are talking about sailboats, school, and your favorite movies. "Where are you headed?" you finally ask. He pauses and gives you a funny, fleeting look. "I'm going home," he says. "What takes you to Alice?" Gilroy didn't say anything about keeping quiet. After all, his expedition isn't exactly a secret. So you reply, "I'm going to meet my uncle, Gilroy Adams." "The archaeologist?" the young man says in surprise. "Yes, do you know him?" "We've never met, but I find his work very interesting," your seatmate replies. "His research into Satyrion is really brilliant. I don't care what anyone says." You glow with pride at this compliment. "Gee," you say, "maybe Gilroy has room for another person. Would you like to come on the dig?" The young man smiles almost sadly and says, That's very kind, but I'm afraid I have previous obligations. Maybe another time. Go on to the next page. He's probably the guy that has to, like, kill Gilroy or something. Yeah, I'm sorry, actually I have to kill him. I mean, got other obligations. Yeah, that's it. With that, he opens a book and begins to read. The pilot announces your descent into Alice Springs. After landing, the young man shakes your hand warmly and disappears down the aisle. 5 minutes later, you're scanning the milling crowd for Gilroy when the man from your flight comes running over to you. Your uncle, he begins breathlessly. Your uncle will be looking in the wrong place. When you get into the desert, near the cacti, continue for another 2.7 miles north-northeast. Good luck, he adds. Then he rushes away. You run after him as he skids around a corner, but he's gone. The hallway is empty. I can't believe that just happened, you think to yourself. What is it that he said? Oh yeah, 2.7 miles north-northeast. 2.7 miles, you keep repeating to yourself. That's weird. Someone taps you on the shoulder. Startled, you turn around. Gilroy, am I glad to see you, you exclaim, hugging your uncle. Glad to see you too, Gilroy replies. Boy, am I glad you came by plane. You must be clairvoyant. Right after we talked this morning, I decided we had to leave today. If you had come by train, I would have had to wait. Let's get your luggage and I'll take you to meet the others. The others, you repeat? Beninawi, my aboriginal tracker friend who found the amulet. He's been my guide for my last 3 trips into the outback. And Ophelia Redburn. She's a colleague of mine on the archaeological trail, Gilroy replies. Moments later, you are seated in Gilroy's Land Rover, cruising the streets of Alice Springs. There's Gilroy. His arms seem pretty short, or something. Something just seems weird there. What was the trouble, Gilroy, you ask your uncle. Does that have something to do with leaving so soon? Exactly, Gilroy replies. Things were just getting too weird for me. The press climbing in my window, some gun manufacturers trying to purchase the formula for the polymer and the amulet to make plastic guns, and all those inquiries about uranium from some pretty dodgy places. 3 mysterious people down at the Aboriginal settlement looking for Beninawi. No camels to be had anywhere, when there are usually dozens available for an expedition. Finally, my room was searched this morning while I was out making calls. I'm pretty sure that my maps were photographed. We have to get out there to stake a claim as soon as possible. Who do you think it is, you ask. I don't have any idea, but I could swear it's more than one group, your uncle replies. Here we are, he adds, slamming on the brakes. He pulls up alongside another Land Rover, where a man and woman sit waiting. I'd like you to meet Ophelia and Beninawi, says your uncle. Turn to page 91. And Dr. Vivaldi. Yeah, that would be nice. In the desert near the cacti. There's only one cacti, just one, in the whole desert. Can't miss it. Turn to page 91. Everyone calls me Fifi, Ophelia tells you, shaking her hand vigorously. Hey there, says Beninawi softly, giving you a wave and a shy smile. You notice that the Land Rovers are already packed with food, water, extra gas, camping supplies, and archaeological equipment. Everyone seems eager to get going as Gilroy issues last-minute directions. While he and Beninawi are talking, Fifi gives you a wink. It seems conspiratorial. Are you imagining things? She does remind you of someone, but whom? Your thoughts are interrupted by your uncle, who says that it's time to leave. As the Land Rover pulls into the road, he asks how much you know about Satyrion. Not much, you admit. I'll start at the top then, Gilroy responds. You'll need some background information. You think Fifi is an Aussie name? Maybe it is. It's my belief that Satyrion was an ancient civilization that existed when this continent was still part of the landmass that included Asia, Gilroy begins. That was like millions of years ago. How could there have been any civilizations millions of years ago? It was, with a few notable exceptions, very highly advanced. Several different sets of ancient cave paintings have been found. Clues from them indicate that the capital of Satyrion was located somewhere in the middle of what is now the Gibson Desert. In fact, I think the Gibson was created when Saturnian was destroyed in an incredibly powerful explosion. This notion makes Gilroy pause to think. He knits his brows, shifts gears with a jerk, then mumbles something before continuing. My papers on Saturnian have become the butt of jokes in the archaeological community, Gilroy says, shrugging. Let them laugh. I knew I would find it sooner or later, but Beniniwe's find, that amulet, sped things up by 10 years at least. How did he find it, you want to know? Well, replies Gilroy, Beniniwe was on walkabout. Do you know what that is? The Aboriginal custom? You shake your head. Oh, the white man is about to explain Aboriginal customs to us, so that's good, because certainly Beniniwe couldn't explain it himself, right? Alright, you shake your head. On walkabout, your uncle explains, means taking a long trip on foot alone into the bush. Well, on his last walkabout, Beniniwe wandered into the Gibson. Into the desert? Alone? You ask in amazement. Turn to the next page. Oh, she's the cab driver? Oh, maybe. Yes. An aborigine who is skilled in the old ways can survive surprisingly well in almost all parts of the outback, Gilroy answers. Anyway, one night Beniniwe had a dream. In it, he found an amulet buried over a foot deep. It was near a peculiarly shaped cluster of cacti. A chill runs down your spine. You remember the man from the plane. His strange message comes back to you clearly. When you get into the desert near the cacti, continue another 2.7 miles northeast. The next day, Beniniwe found the cacti from the dream and started to dig nearby. Sure enough, your uncle is saying, but you interrupt him. Gilroy, does anyone else know about this? I mean, how Beniniwe found the amulet? No one besides you, and Beniniwe, of course. I haven't even told Fifi yet. I have something important to tell you, you begin. Turn to page 95. That's unbelievable, your uncle exclaims after you have finished telling him about the man on the plane. How could he know? Wait till I tell the others about this. That night, around the campfire, the four of you have a spirited discussion about the incident. I think he's trying to lead us off the track, Gilroy says suspiciously. We'll be on some wild goose chase, and whoever planted this information will be digging in the spot when we're headed to it in the first place. We'll be digging in the spot we were headed to in the first place. I don't know, Fifi replies thoughtfully. There might be some truth in it. Why don't I go take a look? While I do that, you and Beniniwe can begin the excavation near his original find at the cacti. Gilroy nods slowly. That's not a bad idea, he finally says. Do you want to come with me? Fifi adds, turning towards you. If you accept Fifi's offer, turn to page 102. If you decide to stay with your uncle and Beniniwe at the original dig site, turn to page 96. So should we go with Fifi? I don't know. I feel like they know some things. And then they winked at us too, so I don't know. Maybe we already met them earlier. Yeah, maybe it was the cab driver. Maybe it was that person on the plane. Well, that'd be kind of weird. So should we accept Fifi's offer or stay with our uncle? Fifi seems like bad news, so yes. Okay. Should we go with Fifi? Yeah. All right. Okay. The next day, after reaching the cacti, you and Beniniwe change Land Rovers. Then you pause for a minute to look at the cacti. They are strangely shaped, twisted into configurations that seem almost human. You can't help wondering if there's something supernatural about them. Good luck, Gilroy calls as you drive off with Fifi. The location, 2.7 miles northeast, lies on the far side of an outcropping of rock. You have to drive over rough terrain to reach it, and it takes longer than you planned to get there. The desert sun drops fast. You don't have time to do much before dark, except set up camp and build a fire. Fifi works busily. For some reason, she keeps smiling mysteriously to herself. The last thing she says to you before going to sleep is, "You know the way back, don't you?" This strikes you as an odd question, but yes, you assure her, you know the way back. You fall asleep as your head hits the pillow, but you are soon awakened. A strong wind blows sand in your face. "Fifi, should we find better shelter?" you ask the huddled shape of the sleeping bag by the dying fire. "Fifi?" you repeat, getting up and shaking her. "But her sleeping bag is empty." Oh, Fifi. You dash out into the blowing sand. "Fifi! Fifi! Where are you?" you yell. You run up a small rise to get a better view. There you stop, frozen in your tracks. Below you, about 100 yards in the distance, a huge glowing ball, 6 stories high, is descending slowly to earth. Hundreds of people, all colors and shapes, ages and nationalities, stand clustered in front of it. In the rear of the crowd, you spot a familiar figure. "Fifi!" you call, running down the hill. She turns towards you. A man she has been talking to turns as well. It's her seatmate from the plane. "What's happening?" you cry, out of breath. Just then, a cheer breaks out into the crowd. The huge silver ball has landed. Okay. I don't know what's going on now. "It's time for me to go, to return to where I came from," Fifi tells you gently. "In this spaceship?" you ask. "Are you an alien?" Fifi smiles a sad smile. Then you realize who she reminded you of earlier, the man standing next to her. "I used to reside here on Earth. Before the accident," she says. "We both did," the man from the plane adds, "as citizens of Satyrion and the height of its glory." "What happened? What do you mean?" you cry. "That was a wonderful time," Fifi begins. "Earth was even more magnificent than it is now. The governments were good and fair. The abundance on the planet assured that no one went hungry. There was only one problem: nuclear energy. It was messy and dangerous, but cheap," her friend tells you. "Many of us fought against its use, but to no avail. We could see the end coming. We were forced to move to a friendly planet, not half as wonderful as this, in order to survive. Not long after we left, the great catastrophe came. Life was extinguished on Earth," Fifi goes on. "The epicenter of the blast was here in the capital. The hull of the old reactor is right over there," she adds, pointing to a ruin nearby. Turn to page 88. Okay. I need to go now. My planet needs me. That's like as abrupt as that was. Scratch everything I said. The author got into the peyote. Seems like it. "So why are you here?" you ask. "To try to prevent it from happening again. Humans are not as advanced in this evolutionary cycle as they were on our own. 10 years ago, we decided to come down and see what we could do to help the planet, to awaken people to the danger before them," she answers. "We have done all we can. We have planted the seeds. The rest is up to you." While Fifi has been talking, a gangplank was lowered from the glowing craft in front of you. The people in the crowd line up to board the spaceship. Fifi and her friend edge towards it. "But what can I do?" you cry. "I don't want Earth to die." "You must convince people to draw on the energy within. This life of power over things. The kind of power that nuclear energy represents is far from the true nature of mankind. It is this that people must learn." When Fifi finishes speaking, she turns and follows her friend into the light at the top of the gangplank. Who is it? Is this someone already in the ship or something? Oh no, that's her reflection. Oh, that's her reflection, right. You watch and wonder as the large ball lifts into the air, hovers briefly, and zooms skyward. In a short while, it is lost among the stars. The next day you bring Gilroy to what remains of Satyrion. News of the reactor quickly makes headlines around the world. You devote the rest of your life to eliminating nuclear energy and weapons of mass destruction. If anyone is still alive to read this tale, you will know your efforts have not been wasted. This book's brought to you by ExxonMobil. Oil and gas is the future. Forget about nuclear energy. You know, the sole threat to the planet is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy will destroy us all. It's the ultimate evil. It's so bad. Can't let it destroy us. I mean, yeah, weapons of mass destruction, okay. But, it's not like a nuclear reactor is going to, like, blow up the planet or something. I don't know. I think, well, maybe back in the 80s, people were, like, super worried about it. I mean, it was, like, right after Chernobyl, and then we had, like, a 6 Mile Island, and that was in the late 70s. So, I mean, there were some nuclear accidents, but... And we have, like, nuclear reactors that have been in operation for a really long time that are still in operation, so... It's not like we, like, banned all nuclear energy, but, yeah. Well, that was probably the best ending we could possibly hope for in this book. And, you know, we didn't get killed in that one. That's probably the best ending we could possibly get. And we found the reactor. So they told us not to use nuclear energy, and then we found their advanced nuclear reactor. So, yeah, I was thinking, like, how come that was very misleading that we, like, recognized her and she looked familiar and she, like, winked at us and it was like, who's this person? Like, oh, right, of course, they're from the same alien race that, well, they're not really aliens, right? They're just, like, they're from an earlier evolutionary cycle or something. Okay. That's super scientific. Well, when, like, people evolved from birds or something, like, what? Like, I think we would have found some, like, fossils or something where, like, oh yeah, people are this, like, humanoid species evolved from these creatures. Okay. Yeah. Anyways. Well, okay, yeah, so I guess I'll stop here. Starting to lose my voice a little bit. Can't tell. Yeah, I hope everyone, meaning Valerie and Rachel, because those are the only two people watching tonight, probably because I did a post so late. It's been pretty busy today. But yeah, thanks, Rachel, and thanks, Valerie, for watching, and I will do this all again next Tuesday. Ordered some more Choose Your Own Adventure books, so be going strong for the next several weeks, at least. So, okay, yeah. Have a good night, and see you later. Take care. Oh, yeah, it was super random. Oh, yeah, that ending. Yes, sorry. I was just catching up with that. Okay. All right. See you. Have a good night.